we're going to be canning green beans. So I also wanted to note that you can either use a salt, you can leave salt out, or you can use some kind of a seasoning if you'd like to season your green beans while they're cooking. I use a instant, onion soup mix. I just think it adds a great flavor to the green beans when you're cooking them, and I don't put much in, only a half a teaspoon, but it's enough. The green beans are fantastic. So I'm really excited to can these this morning. I think they're going to come out really good. Like I said, these are the best green beans I've had yet. They're stringless pole beans, and every single day I'm picking about that many beans. It's a lot. I've been eating them fresh every single day that they have come ripe, and freezing them and canning them. Actually, this is the first time I've canned them, but I should have enough to last me throughout the year. So I have finished getting my green beans all ready to can. And I thought I'd show you something that my grandma taught me a long time ago, and that is a nice way to store your bands. Now, I actually put my regular mouth cans on one, and I put my wide mouth can lids on another. Now, this one I was in a hurry, so I threw a couple of the wide mouth on here. But this is just a great way to store lids. I actually keep them in my closet on a couple nails. Just, they're out of the way, and you know how lids can just end up all over your house. This is a great way to store them. So I am going to start off by putting about a half a teaspoon of my seasoning in the bottom of my jars. It's not very much, but I like the flavor. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting my green beans in the jars. And this is an easy process. Doesn't take a lot of work. Now you want to try to get these beans packed in as tight as possible. So I actually just hit the bottom of the jar with my hand. And you'll notice like all the beans that were on top now have kind of settled into the jar. And you want to pack these tightly. You're going to have about an inch of headspace in the jars. And this is considered a raw pack, which means I'm putting the beans in without cooking them. And the reason that I do that is because I really don't like to have beans that are overcooked. And I think sometimes when you put all of the beans in the boiling water and then you pressure can them as well, you just end up with, overcooked beans. So I've done it both ways. I kind of like this method the best. So I'm going to be packing my beans, and then we're going to get boiling water to put over this. Okay, I've boiled some water. I've got my beans all ready to add the water to them. And I am going to fill them right to the neck of the jar, which is 1 inch of headspace. Now I'm going to just kind of fill them up a little bit. I'm going to fill them all up because I want to, check for bubbles. And then I will top off any that I need to, so that we have exactly the correct headspace. So what I'm going to do now is go through with my trusty wooden skewer, just like this. And I'm going to try to get down along those sides the best I can. These beans are packed in really tight, so it's very hard, but it's important that you get the bubbles out. If you don't, sometimes it can affect your canning. Now I want to show you something. I went along this particular can and I had that all the way filled up to the neck. Look at how much of the water has gone down, about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm actually going to have to add a little bit more water, but let me go ahead and do this to all of them, and then we'll top them off at each one of them. All right, now we're going to top off all of our beans so that we have exactly 1 inch of headspace in our jars. That's what the Ball Blue Book of Canning requires. Now these numbers have been tested by Ball. I think they have the best success of canning correctly. safety, whatever the reasons, I always go with whatever they recommend. Green beans are actually some of the easiest things to can. All right, we're gonna take a paper towel and it's a wet paper towel. I didn't use vinegar on this. I don't have anything sticky or, all my jars have just been washed about an hour ago and boiled. So I'm not concerned about anything other than maybe some of the bean or the seasoning that might have got on them. So at this point, all I'm going to do is put my lids on the jars, like so. And then we're going to put our rings on. And then when they're all on lightly, we're going to tighten them up, finger tight. Tighten them up, finger tight, and we're going to go put them in our pressure can. Green beans do have to be pressure canned. So let me do that, show you how they look before they go in, and I'll show you the process as soon as they come out. Okay, this is my pressure canner, and I am currently just heating it up. It's already hot, but I'm heating it up so that I'm going to see steam come out of this little hole. When that happens, it needs to come out of that hole for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to put a weight on it, and we'll let this little gauge come up to 10 pounds of pressure. Once it does, we need to wait 20 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. Then I'm going to turn the stove off and let it come down naturally, and then we'll go ahead and see how the beans turned out. So my pressure canner has reached 10 pounds of pressure. So all I'm going to do at this point is set my timer for 20 minutes. So once my pressure canner comes up to pressure, I actually stay right with it. I never leave my pressure canner unattended for any reason until it's done canning. I need to make sure it doesn't go under 10 pounds of pressure, and I also want to make sure it doesn't, for some reason, go real high. So I let it go a couple degrees over the 10, and then I start turning it down, and I just maintain that 10 pounds of pressure. So the timer's gone off, and I've turned off the stove, and as soon as my pressure gauge comes down to 0 and the lock button goes off, I'll go ahead and take the lid off. I'll wait 5 minutes, and then I'll put my jars in a place where they can sit for 24 hours, and I'll show you how they look as soon as I take them out of the canner. My green beans are out of the canner. Everything is completely done. As you can see, the green beans came out really beautiful, and I know they're gonna be extra delicious. Like I said, these are the best green beans I've ever grown, and I'm really enjoying them. So if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please consider subscribing. Maybe give me a like, a thumbs up, or ring the bell for future notifications, and consider watching one of my playlists. I have a canning and a gardening playlist, so you can see all of my canning and gardening videos. So next time I'll see you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.